everybody, and happy Easter weekend. This mask that I have over my phone is basically an exact replica of the sky right now. So it's not that much different, and it doesn't look like anything obscene. So that's an upgrade. Jules, I thank you so much for giving me the gift of laughter. What I've been through isn't anything that I can really talk about. It's not anything that anybody has any answers to. My daughter's 18 and a half, so the decisions she made are really tough. One of the things that an abuser does is they use something called character trait reassignment. So they take the good things from their victim, and then their victim turns into them. They essentially hoover each other to the point where one becomes the bad and one becomes the good, whereas the beginning they were the other. My daughter was sweet and naive, and I didn't even want her to have a job, because she didn't need to worry about anything financially. I provided everything for her that she'd ever need. It's like, yeah, I couldn't run out and buy whatever she wanted that weekend, but you know what? It's like all of my kids, I'm like, okay, tell me what you want, and I will find a way to freaking get it. I mean, I'm thrifty. I know people. I trade with people. I've managed to get whatever the kids have wanted if they give me just a little bit of time. Like I've said, and it may not be new, and the kids know that, but everything in my daughter's new room, is Pottery Barn Teen. Her silk sheets, and they're not pink, they're not blush, they had to be a certain type of silk. I mean, she was just so gentle, and in competitive cheer for 8 years, and then once she met him, and she met him online, during the pandemic, so he was able to access her online and kind of get her hooked online for 3 months before they even met in person. And he was almost graduated when they met, and she was a junior. So right now she's 18 and a half, and he's almost 20. He is unemployed, and he was having her get out of school early to go and work extra, because they were making this runaway fund. And it just, when I tried to reach out to the dad that had been falsely accused of abuse all of his life, I thought, here, this is the key, he'll be able to help me, but it sounds like they're actually with him, and they've got him convinced of their of the abuse. Basically, what had to happen, because she's still in high school, basically we figure that she had to create a story of abuse to allow his parents to let her move in. The mom and the dad live separately because of the allegations of abuse towards the dad. CPS made them separate years ago. Well, through family therapy, the bad seed confessed that he had just dreamed up the abuse. He had accused the dad of strangling him and throwing him down the stairs and all of that stuff. We never got the point that he had dreamed it up until very recently. I thought he was this abused kid. I've helped him tremendously, and I put one limit on him. He started causing really weird fights with my sons, my daughter's brothers, and he's just really this weakling looking freak of a fucking kid. And so my sons are like, just go upstairs with my sister, just go to bed or something, because I was not ever going to create a Romeo and Juliet. She's over 18. I let him stay overnight, once a week, on the weekends, whatever. I didn't create any kind of, you can't see him or whatever. So, the boys came to me with this really weird argument because he was threatening to hit them in the face and all that. And I've never hit any of my kids. My kids have never hit each other. They're not that kind of kid. We're not that kind of household, okay? And so here, this freak boy who's like built like and looks like a freaking Angry Bird is threatening my sons, is threatening to hit them in the face and calling them pedophiles and all this crap, and just out of nowhere. And so they came to me and they were like, look, he freaked out on us. Here we are in the kitchen and he starts, rudely burping and following us and calling us names and saying that he was going to hit us in the face. And I'm like, what in the Sam hell? And I asked her about it and she's like, well, they said this, they said that, they said this. And, for the last several months, you couldn't ask her anything without her just starting screaming, which she had never done previously, but that's his MO. So since they switched, I said, look, until we figure this out, he can't stay overnight anymore. Like, I need to have both eyes closed when I have both eyes closed. And if I have, a gaggle of kids in my house, I need to know that one of them isn't threatening the other. So that was what I put. That's the only limit I put, is that he could no longer stay the night until we figured out what was going on. Well, that was 3 months ago. So from that point, he just stopped coming over and he'd pick her up. And then they started going out to dinner with the mom and spending all the time with the mom and the dad and everything, and no longer spent time at my house. And I wasn't really putting it together. I was just glad that they weren't there because he's incredibly loud and obnoxious. And like I say, he's got these tics, every 30 seconds he's like, ah, 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 and he spits food all over and everything. I was just looking at it. I'm like, how sweet. My daughter has this boyfriend that will never break her heart because there's not another freaking female on the planet that would take this ostrich-looking mofo. I just thought he was just, terribly wayward, sickly, asthmatic, autistic, abused child. And in time, he would grow into his head and I just treated him with love and compassion, and I just didn't realize that he was a freaking snake in the grass. And so when I, reached out after what happened, my daughter brutally attacked me, and ran out of the house, and mysteriously he was there at the same time the police were there, that he called them. It was a setup. They set me up. I did not hit my daughter in any way, even when she was brutally attacking me. I did pull her hair in an effort to save my eyeball. But I'm bruised. Most of my bruises are faded now, but I was bruised from my shoulders to my hips and arms. And I'm still having a really rough time. But basically, when I called the dad was just this pompous ass and just said, don't you dare blame your problems in your house on my son. My son has turned around and he said this word, everybody said it weird, like maturation. I've been impressed with my son's maturation in the last year. Yeah, that's because my freaking daughter went and donated what I had given her as a kind girl to go, and she healed the relationships between him and his dad, and him and his mom, and him and his sister. So through the years, my kids have used my house as a safety for their friends who were homeless and were kicked out. And in the pandemic, there was nowhere for these kids to go. So, all of a sudden we were shut down, and I've got, about 8 teenage boys that I'm not sure where they all came from, but they were hungry, and I'd go to the store and just get whole chickens and everything, and everybody looked at me like the asshole who was hoarding, and I'm like, look, mofos, I've got teenagers in my ass. I don't know where they come from. I just cook and they eat everything, okay? I'm feeding freaking teenagers, boys. And we would just sit with them and, just kind of talk it out and be like, okay, so what happened here? And each one of them, we got, reunited with their parents in a way that they felt safe to go home. But it was just talking everything through. So my daughter had seen the way that had been done, and, you know, I came from unspeakable abuse and went through 14 fosters, and, you know, was basically on my own since I was 11 or 12. And so I just never wanted my children to feel like I had felt one day in their life. You know, I let them walk all over the fuck me. I mean, I'll walk all, I can't even say it. They fucking walked all over me. And not even they. I mean, my boys are sweet. My daughter's my only daughter. I just figured this is how girls go. But anyway, she became him. So she became this out of control, screaming. You know, you could say, hey, can you hand me the ketchup in the fridge? And be like, I didn't put it there. I'm not going to give it to you. So-and-so put it there. I'm not going to give it to you. You go assholes. And it's like, I guess I'll get the fucking ketchup myself. You know, and then husband who's working from home be like, you two stop arguing. I'm like, literally, I was breathing and asked for the fucking ketchup. I mean, I just thought she was hormonal. I didn't see this, and my sons have came to me, you know, because I was so depressed in the, you know, first few days and really hard on myself, and they're like, you do realize that, I don't want to say the number of kids I have just because I try and keep things personal here, but out of all of us, we all love you, and you've never abused us, and we've been in this home, and we all saw what happened, and we've all been trying to tell you there's something wrong with her. She's being an asshole. And they've built me up. They've held me up. They really have held me up. So that and the gift of laughter, and Jules, you just do it so well. I love your voice and I love your commentary. And so when you did the one of Lardo losing her mother at the age of 54, it was crazy because the words she was saying were what I have experienced, you know, just basically losing my daughter and the betrayal that she did, and just not understanding where this came from, and, you know, knowing that the boyfriend is a huge narcissist, and I think he's an alphabet soup of the DSM-IV. I mean, it's not normal for a kid to have been hospitalized multiple times. It's not normal for a 19-year-old to be on 4 different psych meds and have been on them for as long as he can remember, but the parents never told him what they were, so I don't even know what they are or were. Now, right about the time when he was doing the weird shit to my sons, reading through my daughter's diary and everything now, she had him stop all 4 of his meds abruptly. So, in all of the things, like what we're reading, she just started saying to him, like, don't tell me you're right. Oh my God, you are right. Oh my God, you are right. They do hate me. Oh my God. No, but if I try to leave, they'll beat me. They'll beat me. You know, all this crap, right? So you can tell that he deleted everything on his end. But so anyway, he was convincing her that we were abusing her. And she was like, no, don't be right. Oh my God, maybe you are right. Okay, well, if I try to go and they do this, what do I do, right? So obviously he went and Googled a friggin' self-defense and said, well, whoever tries to stop you, gouge out their eyeballs and kick them in the crotch. Because basically, I got my eyeball gouged out. And luckily, it's still in there, but, you know, a corneal abrasion and damage to the muscle of my eye and the fluid behind it. And it's kicked everywhere but the frickin' crotch. But anyway, my daughter's bigger than me. And she's all solid muscle because of her years on competitive cheer. So, I'm old. I'm no match for some frickin' spry 18-year-old. I got my ass kicked. But anyway, when I was watching that with the Lardo, I know damn well that Lardo had to have went physical on Carol. That's the only reason that Carol would have had to have left in the night and left with no contact, because that's basically what the domestic advice, a domestic abuse place has given me, is that I cannot have any contact with her. Right now, she's out of her mind. She's over 18. She's the one being controlled and abused by her boyfriend, but she abused me. And there is no benefit for me to be involved with her at all right now, because it compromises my safety and the safety of everybody in my house. And so I'm sure that she went out on Carol, because if you notice in that video, she said, it's not like we did anything terrible to my mother. And even if we did do something terrible, well, Burke didn't do anything terrible. Yeah, what the fuck did you do that was not quite terrible? But and you know that, a Carol got her 2 meals a freaking day, out. They never used the oven. Carol take her out to eat. So Lardo never knew how to cook. You just see this extreme dependence, and then how she's using Burke, and she's having Burke call and everything. That's third-party harassment is what that is. So you just really look at this video and you take it to where I'm dealing with, narcissism, and, I've been dealing with narcissists in my family. It's a freaking family curse. And then seeing it in the way that, Lardo sees it through her narcissist eyes, it's just crazy to see how she makes it all about herself. And then to know that then in that video, she's bawling about her mommy and blah, 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 and how her mommy and her did everything, and her mommy's so wonderful. And then when mommy didn't come back, she turned angry, and she put up all those videos about how she was abused, and her mother financially abused her, and her mother's a narcissist and all that. Yeah, because Carol did not come back. Carol went and was safe. And I'm dealing with this with my 18-and-a-half-year-old. I can't imagine freaking dealing with this, until my daughter would be 54. I mean, I wouldn't have. I couldn't have. I don't know how things can turn around. I don't know how she could come back into the house. Not that she's going to. She's happy doing what she's doing with fucking screwball. But I can pray that she's safe, and I can pray that she's happy, and I can pray that she sees the truth and comes back to us. But like I say, I know what Carol had to do. And the way that Lardo sat there and, she did this to me and Burke, and me and Burke just cry. The woman's like fucking 84? Well, how old was she when she had Lardo? I mean, obviously she had old ass eggs to have hatched that freaking monster. I mean, because if Lardo was 54, did that make Carol 84 at that point? Or was Carol even older? Because how old was Carol when she had Lardo? So anyway, yeah. All right. Happy Easter. I'm getting clawed at in the car here. I gotta go. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.